Running for 7 months, I have watched the man I love open his eyes and not know my name, not remember our apartment, our life, the 3 years we spent building something I thought was solid. Every morning I have to reintroduce myself, re-explain, watch him absorb the information that he has lived with me, loved me, shared a bed with me, and believe it without any memory of it having happened. And every morning, without fail, when I ask him what he does remember, he says the same thing. March 14th, 2026. That's the day. Something happens on that day. His name is Daniel. He is 36 years old. Was a structural engineer who cared too much about load-bearing calculations and not enough about his own paperwork. He had a laugh that sounded like he was surprised by his own enjoyment of things, and he made exceptionally good scrambled eggs, and he was the kind of person who remembered every preference of everyone he cared about in the kind of detail that made you feel truly known. Now he doesn't remember me by morning. I want to be clear about the clinical situation before I tell you anything else, because the internet is full of speculation about conditions like Daniel's, and I want to be responsible. Daniel has been diagnosed with a rare form of anterograde amnesia that developed following a traumatic brain injury sustained in a car accident 8 months ago. The accident happened on a Thursday evening in September. He was driving home from work. A driver who ran a red light hit his car at significant speed on the driver's side. Daniel survived. He was in the hospital for 3 weeks. He had a subdural hematoma that required surgery. The surgery was successful by all medical measures. He woke up fully awake, fully verbal, physically intact except for a scar at his hairline and a left hand that still doesn't work perfectly. And he woke up without any memory of the accident or the weeks preceding it, which is normal for this kind of injury. What was not normal was what followed. Each night when Daniel falls asleep, his capacity to form new long-term memories essentially resets. Not entirely, he retains procedural memories, skills, language. He knows how to use a fork and how to read and how to make those scrambled eggs. He knows his own name and his childhood and his parents and his established history up to a certain point. But he does not retain the day that just happened. He does not retain me. Every morning I am new to him. The first time this happened, the morning after he came home from the hospital, I thought it was a side effect of the medications. I thought it would clear. The doctors were careful not to promise that. They said the brain was unpredictable, that recovery could happen in stages, that we needed to give it time. I gave it time. 7 months of time. He still does not remember me in the morning. Here is something I need you to understand about loving someone with this condition. You do not get to be tired of it. You do not get to resent the repetition. Every morning when he looks at me without recognition, I have to choose, because I am aware that I am choosing to be someone he can trust immediately, someone whose presence is warm and safe and not frightening. I cannot burden him with my grief about our situation, because every morning that grief would be new information to him. And new information that his girlfriend is heartbroken is a heavy thing to absorb before breakfast. I have become very good at good mornings. I have a script, more or less. Good morning. My name is Sarah. We've been together for 3 years. You were in an accident 8 months ago and your memory resets each night. Here's a photo album on the counter. Please look through it while I make coffee. The doctors say this may improve. You wrote yourself a note yesterday. It's on the nightstand. Every morning he reads the note he wrote himself the previous day. This was a strategy we developed with his neurologist. Daniel writes himself a summary each evening in his own handwriting, something he can trust completely because he knows it came from himself. The notes have changed over the months. Early on they were clinical, just facts. Later they became warmer, sometimes funny. He has his sense of humor fully intact, which is something I am more grateful for than I know how to say. And every note since about 2 months after the accident ends with the same line. March 14, 2026. Something happens on that day. I don't know what, don't let me miss it. I asked him on the first day he wrote this what it meant. He didn't know. He said he had woken up that morning with an overwhelming certainty about the date, not a memory, he was careful to say, because he knew the difference between memory and something else. Not a memory, a conviction. He said it felt the way important things feel when they're approaching, the feeling you get in the days before a significant event. March 14, 2026 was, at that point, over a year away. His neurologist noted it. She said that sometimes patients with anterograde amnesia experienced what she called persistent emotional imprinting, feelings or convictions that survived the nightly reset even when episodic memories didn't. She said the specificity of the date was unusual but not entirely without precedent. She ordered some additional testing. The testing found nothing clinically explanatory. I started keeping a journal, not just for me, for Daniel, because he can't really, or he can and does in the notes he writes himself each evening. But I wanted a record that was more than functional. I wanted someone to be witnessing this. Months 3 through 5 were the hardest. I had accepted intellectually that this was our life for now and possibly our life indefinitely. But acceptance in the brain and acceptance in the body are different things, and my body was exhausted. I was sleeping poorly. I was crying in the car on the way to work, which is the crying location of the chronically overwhelmed because no one can see you. I want to tell you what kept me because I think it matters. Daniel keeps choosing me. Every morning when I explain who I am, he reads the notes and looks at the photos and processes everything I tell him. And somewhere in that processing, every single morning, he chooses to trust me, to be kind to me, to ask me questions about myself with what I can only describe as genuine interest. He meets me fresh every morning, and every morning he seems to find something in me worth meeting. He said something to me 3 months ago that I will carry for the rest of my life. He said, "I don't know you, but I know that I knew you." And that means something, even if I don't know what yet. Reaches some version of love for me every day, through the evidence of the notes and the photos and my face and whatever his brain retains that isn't quite memory but isn't quite nothing. He reaches it fresh, without history to coast on, just on the merits of what I am in front of him. I'm not sure anyone has ever loved me more thoroughly than this, even though he cannot technically remember me. March 14, 2026 is 4 months from now as I am recording this. I don't know what happens on that day. I have looked and found nothing, no anniversary, no significant event, nothing I can identify as meaningful from before the accident. I have asked Daniel, on the many mornings when he is willing to talk about it, what it feels like to be certain about a date without knowing why. He says it feels like being called towards something. He says it doesn't feel frightening. I have built up theories and set them aside. I have wondered if it is the anniversary of something from before I knew him that I have no access to. I have wondered if it is something his injured brain manufactured to give itself forward momentum, a destination to aim at when the day-to-day continuity is gone. I have wondered if it means something, and I have wondered if it means nothing. I have decided to treat it as real, not because I believe in prophecy or fate or any of the things you'd need to believe in for it to be real in that sense, but because Daniel needs it to be real, because having a date, having something to aim at, something to not miss, gives structure to a life that has had most of its structural elements removed. He moves through his days like someone navigating by a star he can't explain. I'm not going to take the star away from him. What I can tell you is this: whatever March 14, 2026 is, we will be there for it. I have marked it in every calendar I own. I have told his parents and his sister and his best friend. I have told his neurologist. I have told the universe, inasmuch as that means anything.